Big John Strickland. I had a good time with you on Saturday, man. Good, long time no see.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, caught the first two games this weekend. Got to see a lot of guys that I used to hang out with back in the day when
Whew.
they played baseball and I played football. So it was a good time.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Fun night at Tin Roof.
I'm just still trying to catch. I was riding home on Sunday trying to figure. Flint called and he's like, "Oh man, about that." You know how he is. I was like, "Yeah. We did all that without you. You're right. We
Yeah,
can do it without you, Mike." And
yeah.
it was fun. It was so great to see just so many true. I was talking to Jay Brown's dad. Jay and I live together, and so I know his family well. I was talking to Jay Brown's dad. He's like, "Man, getting old is weird, isn't it?" He's like, "You have the friends you grew up with, you have your college friends, and you get older, and you have your neighborhood friends, and then you have the
Yeah.
friends of the parents that or parents whose kids play with your kids and all this stuff. It's like you have 4 or 5 different groups of friends." And I said, "Yeah, no disrespect to any of them, but I want my college friends back. Those those were the days." So that was fun. That was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Good old days. Fun, busy weekend. Then I had to drive over to Georgia. We did a barrel pick over at 13th Colony
Yeah, how'd that go?
Distillery. Went great. Did that yesterday morning and drove back home. Got home last night. And tomorrow I got to fly to Nashville for 2 days. And then, so I'm long 7 days.
There's worse places to be than
Wow. I'll tell you what,
Nashville.
it's supposed to be snowing 10 degrees and 12 degrees in Nashville. So I'm actually not looking forward to it.
You get a call PD while you're up there?
I don't think I'm leaving the Westin Hotel the whole time I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take that back. I got dinner reservations at Hall's Thursday night. So,
Oh, you might see PD then. Who knows?
yeah. So,
All right. Real quick here, Craig asked about Matthew Becker. He said, "Has he increased his velocity?" I feel like he's always been 88 to 90, but I could be wrong. Yeah, his velo is going to be up a little bit this year, Craig. I mean, he's not going to be in the upper 90s or anything like that. I don't even know that he'll sit in the mid 90s, but he's up, and as it warms up a little bit, it'll go up a little bit too. But he's got I'd say he's got 3 pitches now as opposed to 2. I think Matthew Becker's in line to have a good year, and when he gets banged around, and he will, they all do. We'll see how he responds to that, and that'll be a big moment for him. But yeah, you could call him 88 to 92, 93. That's what I would say. Did you hear any bad words sitting next to Coach Maneri this weekend?
no, but I'll tell you what, like where I sit, I'm literally right beside him and Monty
Yeah.
while they stand on the steps. And, it was fun to hear them interact, the players interact. They just all seemed like they were having a good time. So it seemed a little more laid back than in the past. So I'll just put it that way.
Well, it's fun. I was talking to Coach Tanner on Friday, and it was so funny. I wasn't certainly not gonna correct him or anything like that. But I mean, he's not wrong. He's exactly right. Hey, I'm gonna coach you hard in practice. I'm gonna pat you on the back and cheer for you on game day. I've heard him get into some rear ends on game day with stories that don't need to be told. But largely, though, all the coaching is done on those other days. You got to go play that day, and that is absolutely 100%. You're exactly right. That's coach. You can he doesn't need to say anything when he's disappointed in something you've done. You can feel
Right,
it when you walk by. That's how Coach Tanner was. That's how Coach Spurrier. I mean, they don't have to say anything. And they
Yep.
know that you know. But he was he is a joy to be around. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. One thing I'm questioning with him is he had like 3 chances this weekend to challenge plays. 2 of the 3, I'm pretty sure, would have been overturned.
Thought the
And
one down at second base.
yeah,
You know which
that
one
one
I'm
for sure.
talking about.
Yeah,
Now he did look over at Monty at third and was like, "Hey," and Monty's like, "I didn't see it. Couldn't tell from my angle if we should challenge it or not."
okay, yeah. Well,
So
I think
I'm sure that's one of the ones you're talking about. The
well,
throw to
and King would challenge everything.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Which we
almost
didn't really need to challenge much this weekend. I mean, it was blowouts. So it was just kind of like, yeah, let's just play ball.
Yeah. No, and I think that's largely who he is. Like, I mean, he's old school, man. Like, you didn't have all this junk, just, I
Yep.
don't know, play the game. I mean, that's going to happen. Overcome it. I mean, there will be moments where it's like, we'd like to have that back. I think the most interesting thing that I saw, and I'm going to move to football with you here in just a second, though. But the most interesting thing that I saw this weekend that I just can't get used to. I mean, I'm used to it, but I'm not used to it, is the green bag at first. I'm still mesmerized by the fact that that thing even exists.
I like it. I personally like it because, there's been controversial. It's happened to us. Last year it happened to us, controversial calls of runner interference and all this other stuff that's happened. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. How about that?
The one thing I haven't done, and this is really poor on my end, so I need to confirm it. Matter of fact, in the press box the other day, this came up, and I'm not sure we got a final answer on it. But the question was, if you're running down the line and you hit the white bag versus the green bag, are you out? Is that interference? Do you have to touch the green bag? And you would think with all my baseball knowledge, I might know this, but I don't. So that's pretty sad. So we got to get some confirmation on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. That would be good to know. I didn't even know. For some reason in my head, I just thought you could touch either bag, but they have the outside bag there for, I think partly is for player safety. Because, I mean, we saw it a couple of times with our baseball team last year where there was some runner interference stuff. Some guys got hit. I mean, there's chance of injury. So I understand why they're doing it. So it is weird. But yeah, that's a great question, JB. I don't know that answer. I hadn't looked into it hard enough.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And Craig says Grayson didn't know either. I know he didn't know because I talked to him. We were talking about it at 10 Roof. I actually asked Grayson,
Yeah.
and he said, you know what, that came up today, and I don't know. And I said, me neither. We should get our story straight. So, but it would be interesting if all of a sudden, no matter, like, I mean, I don't even know, like, what if you hit between the two and they're attached? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to figure that out. We got to figure that out because that could be a big
I would
problem.
think it's still. I would think for fair or foul ball, I would think it's still the white bag. I think the green bag's there just for safety. So, if that's what you're asking, like I wonder if it
Well, the
if it went
ball, I get
over
it.
the green bag.
No, that's
Yeah,
foul ball. That's a
right.
foul
Yeah,
ball.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a foul ball. What you got?
Give us
Okay,
some clarity here, Phil.
I was listening to Coach Lake call. I think it was game 3. Not call, but he was on there, and the way he kind of described it was, so long as like the runner can touch the white bag, if you're rounding the base, that's perfectly fine. And so long as it's not like there's not like a play at the base, you're not necessarily out. But if there's a throw to first and the runner steps on the white bag, it opens you up to the possibility of being called out. So long as the runner is not,
So you can,
you
but
can.
but to avoid the controversy, hit the green bag.
Is just to hit the green bag, unless you're rounding, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It goes in your favor.
Okay.
But it calls into question whether or not, like, if somebody's making a throw to first and you step on the white bag, you can be out.
Yeah,
regardless of whether or not you are. That's what that was the best explanation of that, because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, how does this really work? And Stewart, he put it to the best I've heard yet.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of that is to prevent interference, which obviously can cause injury, can cause, first baseman catching the ball or the runner getting to the bag. I mean, it's just a whole. I understand why they did it. That's why I said I do like it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I never thought that I would like it. I because John, I'm like you are with football. It's very hard for me to come around to a lot of these new age rules. Like, dude, we did this for 130 years. Why didn't we do it? Why do we have to have it now? But it doesn't, like, it's it's not. There's no negative effect to having it either, if that makes sense.
I think
So,
it's almost. I think it's almost an advantage for the base runner.
well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like, all right, there was a couple of balls this past weekend, not on our side, but on their side, where Sacred Heart had some bad throws when they reached back to tag us. But we're going over the green bag, so that puts it about a whole foot and a half out further from where he could swipe and tag from where you're trying to get from the base. So that actually maybe helped us a couple times because twice that happened last weekend
Well,
or
that's a
this
good
past
point.
weekend where they couldn't get the tag on us because we were going the balloons. They couldn't get the tag on us.
What was that all about?
I think it's the Apple stuff.
Oh,
Yeah. But so maybe that worked to our advantage this past weekend.
I'll say it's not your birthday, is it?
No, it's not.
Good technology's getting out of hand.
Yeah.
What word triggered the balloons?
I don't know. It must have been a hand motion or something.
Oh,
Who knows?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. If your throw is wide, and especially, if you have to jump and then tag, or it's a high throw and you have to tag, and that's when you slide. Like, how some people slide head first because it's going to be a close play, but that's actually slowing you down. Don't do that.
It is. The only time you want to do that is the ball's thrown high and they're going to get reached back and tag. You just go under it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I agree with that. That's a good point. The one that you were talking about that Coach Beneri could have challenged was where the base runner made an inadvertent move into the grass area, because the baseline in that case generally is where you establish the baseline. So if you establish it on the inside, you get your arm length and that's it. Yeah. But he had established a base-to-base path, and so he had shifted to the inside on the throw, on the pickoff. And had they reviewed that with the right angle, he most likely would have been called out because of the egregious move, but they didn't review it. The other thing with the first base stuff too, though, it has long not made sense. Like, the bag has always been on the inside of the foul line.
Yep.
But you're supposed to run in foul territory within the white lines. And then at the last second, so that's been the grayest.
There was some big plays against us last season where
happened a lot.
We got called out because we were running down the baseline, and they said we interfered, like on a bunt, we interfered with the catcher throwing to first base, and we got called out like 2 or 3 times last year. I remember this.
Yep.
And so I think that green bag it's going to help, to get rid of some of these ticky-tack calls where it's a judgment call by the ump,
That's right. That's a great point. It does largely take it out of their hands. And King, I talked to King about one of those last year. I remember this conversation explicitly now. And he was like, I don't understand. Like, what do they want me to tell my guys?
Yes.
I mean, we're running to the bag. Like, they're not weeble wobbling and zigzagging and all that stuff. Like, they're going direct to the bag. I mean, if they take one step left or right just because they're hauling ass, what do you want me to tell them?
Yeah.
I mean, that happens when your head's down and you're trying to get there in under 4 seconds before the ball does. Yeah, you might take a step one direction more than the other. And it was a total judgment call for over 100 years. But the thing was, though, is it never became as popular it never became like a very popular talking point because you didn't have all the replay and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So once replay got implemented, and then they started focusing in on some of the rules that they felt like they could clean up, then it started to become more of an emphasis. And now you've taken that out of it, so you get to stay. We're spending too much time on this, but John, 11 players officially invited to the NFL Combine for South Carolina, which is the 4th most in college football. Ohio State had 15, Georgia and Texas both have 14, Oregon with 12, and then the Gamecocks are tied with the Rebels. Are you surprised, though, that there's not more than that? Because there's a couple of names that aren't on this list.
Well, there's one that stands out a lot to me, and I think you know who I'm going to say. We hadn't even talked about this, but Devo. I mean, how do you not invite a guy who was first team All SEC last year, had a solid season this year. He just, he didn't make as many tackles just because there was better players around him on the defense to make those plays. So how do you not give this guy a look at the combine? Somebody who is a first team All Conference in the SEC a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't understand it. Now I know there's some questions about his abilities, his agility, and some other things, but that guy deserves to get a look at the NFL Combine, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would make you're 100%, 1,000,000% right on that. I would also make the argument for Boogie. I think that Boogie. That's, by the way, 11. That's not including Kai Kroger,
who got invited to the specialist combine. Yeah.
Yep, which you were texting me the other day. So that's actually 12. The previous 3 years to the combine itself, 22, 23, and 24, is a total of 13. So 11 this year is the most dating back to 2012. It's probably the most ever, but I would really have to go do some research on that. John, in 1954, and I know you remember this well, in 1954, there were 30 rounds in the NFL draft. Well, the pro football draft. 360 players were taken, and 9 Gamecocks went in that. 9 in 1954. In 2009 and in 2013 in modern era football.
Before everybody and their mother got drafted back then. Back in the day.
Everybody went, right? Well, clearly that's not the case anymore. There's 7 rounds in the NFL draft. 7 Gamecocks were selected in the 09 and the 2013 drafts. 7. I would venture a guess with the 12, including Kroger, plus 2, 14. I would venture a guess. I'm not trying to be homeristic here. I'm just being real. We've watched these guys play football. We know what they look like. I think they're going to break that record.
I don't have any doubt about it. I think we at least get to 10. That's what 10. I think. I think we at least get 10, 9 or 10. That's going to be that's my number.
Let's run through them here. E-Man Worry is a hard yes.
Yes.
I would say OD is a hard yes.
Yep.
I there's no way they're going to go 7 rounds without him getting drafted.
No, he'll get drafted.
Tonka.
Yep.
Okay. Kyle Kennard is a 4. TJ's a 5.
Yep.
Demetrius Knight.
Yep.
Okay. I agree with that. What about Bam?
He's a toss-up for me.
Okay. I would agree with that. I think Pro Day, it will be very good to him here. Yep. That'll be a very important day for him. Rocket's going to go.
Yep. That's 7.
Josh Simon.
Yep.
Torselli Simpkins.
Yeah, he'll probably be 4th to 6th round. That's what I think.
DeAndre
That's
Jewell.
9. Possibly. He's a toss-up.
Toss-up. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Kai gets drafted.
I do too. I think he gets drafted late.
You're seeing more and more punters.
So that would be the 10 right there.
And we haven't even gotten to Debo or Boogie.
Right. So I think you see 9 or 10 guys off this past year's team.
All right, you understand the combine. Why would Debo Williams not get an invite?
I don't know. I mean, typically, I'm just surprised he's not invited because you invite guys. I mean, even if they're going to be lifelong special teamers, you invite those guys to the combine because you want to see how they move and run and all that stuff. Now, they're going to listen, we're going to have every team in the NFL at our pro day. So they're all going to be able to see him then too. And they're going to do the same drills and all that. But it's just the combine's one of those things that only so many guys. I didn't get invited to the NFL combine. So only so many guys get invited. I mean, you get like, you get around what 400 guys invited to Senior Bowls, which is not a lot. Think about all the college football players. It's about my number could be off a little bit, but then only what is it 300 and how many get invited to the combine?
It's a little different every year, but I think that's about right, isn't it? About 300.
300 ish. So I mean, listen, that's an honor, and I think Debo earned that honor by the way he played here at South Carolina. So yeah, that's one that I'm really shocked about.
329 invited this year.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean 300 or so is pretty much every year, but yeah, I think he got the shaft, and then of course, thank you, Mad Dog, and then I think, I mean personally, I think Boogie, I like Boogie. I think that there's going to be a team that likes Boogie. Does he go in the draft? I don't know. He's maybe a tweener guy like you kind of mentioned.
Yeah, I
But
think he's probably going to be something like me, where you're undrafted, you'll get an invite from a team to come to camp, and he'll be able to prove himself and see if he can make the squad or not.
okay, that group. So Eman Worry, high school kid, O'Donnell Fortune, high school kid, Tonka Hemingway, high school kid, TJ, high school kid, Simon, Simpkins, Sanders, portal guys. Bam was a JUCO guy. In the words of Coach Toman, a JUCO bandit. I guess we can use that in football. Kennard, of course, a portal guy. Jules, a portal guy. Kroger was a high school kid. Boogie was a high school kid. And Debo came from Delaware. He was a portal guy. What does that tell you? This group is a mixed bag of all that. What does that tell you about this staff and their ability to evaluate no matter where they're coming from?
I mean, I think it says a lot. I mean, you take guys. It's just like some of these portal guys you mentioned, other than Rocket. Other than Rocket, all these other portal guys come from smaller schools or came from D1 schools, but they hadn't done much in their career. Then they get to South Carolina and just explode onto the scene. So I think that tells you a lot about the staff being able to develop kids. And then you take somebody like Nick, who's going to be a first-round pick, who hardly nobody recruited out of high school, was a 3-star, low-rated 3-star. Nobody recruited him. Well, South Carolina saw something, and sure enough, we developed him. And guess what? He's going to get a fat payday here come April.
You got that right. What does that also? How does that make you feel about the players on this roster that we don't know about yet, who have come in from the portal? I'm not talking about the high school kids. It's too early for that. But the portal guys, maybe if fans are, I'm not going to say disappointed. I'm sure there's somebody is, but just don't know how to feel, right? They don't really know any of these guys are, because I'll say this real quick, John, before you respond. I can tell you now that when South Carolina, outside of Kyle Kennard for the most part, when they signed Simpkins in the portal, when they signed Simon in the portal, when they signed Bam from JUCO, when they signed Demetrius Knight from Charlotte, when they signed DeAndre Jules from Pitt, none of those guys, when they signed Debo from Delaware, I didn't see message boards and Twitter keyboard warriors lighting the world up about how much they loved them as football players. Matter of fact, I saw quite the opposite with a lot of it. Why are we taking these guys? And now they're going to the NFL Combine. A lot of them are going to get their names called in April in the NFL Draft. So what I'm getting at is pushing that forward now to this new group of portal players that we don't know about. What would you say to that?
Well, I've always said this. If coaches are recruiting and going after these guys, they're good players, because if they weren't, they wouldn't be wasting their time. But they also see whatever this staff is looking for, they see something that relates to how they coach. So that's why they're signing these guys, and then they're developing these guys. I mean, Simpkins, now I'd already heard this guy was a real deal, and said it already said he's going to come in and start immediately.
You were the first one to say that amongst anybody.
Yeah. So I knew about him. Now the rest of them I didn't know much about. I mean, we knew a little bit about Kennard. He had a pretty good season at Georgia Tech the year before. But man, were we expecting a first team consensus All-American? No, none of us were.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to give it to the coaching staff, man. They just see something in these guys and they develop them. So, it's not. I know some people want to hire these big flashy names that get in the portal. Oh man, this guy was a former 5-star, former 5-star. Yeah, let's get him. Let's get him. Well, those guys don't always pan out. Some of the ones here in the past few years that have transferred just hadn't worked out for them. So clearly, this staff has their eye on certain guys, and for the most part, they have worked out so far.
I think it's going to be a guessing game every year when it comes to the portal. You hit, and some years you
Yep.
won't hit. Mostly they have hit. There's no doubt. All right, before we let you run here, give us a bourbon pick for the week. This is becoming a trend. Last week you had them
Lord.
talking when you left. You had them talking. They were all talking.
Well, I'm a wild turkey guy. I love Victor's too. So I would say wild turkey, rare breed. That's an easy one to find. That's a very solid pour.
Good
You
point.
know, if you like lower proof stuff, any of the Michter's standard lineup is just fantastic, flavorful whiskey. And if you can find any cast strength 13th Colony, which I know it's a little bit harder to find, but we just picked a barrel of cast strength rye yesterday at the distillery, and it is fantastic. It was a great place to hang out. And I'm probably not even supposed to say this, but they let us pull a pour out of the barrel of the, not this coming year's double oak release from 13th Colony, but 2026. They snuck us a little pour out of there, which I don't think I'm supposed to say that, but man, it's some tasty stuff. Those are hard bottles to get. They only come out with about 32 to 3,500 bottles of it every year, and they are super rare to get.
Keep your doors locked. The bourbon police are coming.
Yeah. But great bunch of people at 13 Colony. And you know what? It's not far from South Carolina. From Columbia, it's about 4.5 hours. It's a great place to go. Great people. They treated us like royalty while we were there.
What
we were
town?
there for about 2 hours. America's Georgia.
America's Georgia. What's more American than America's Georgia?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So solid. It's actually not far from my hometown. So
Bainbridge, Georgia.
Yep.
It's always a pleasure, my friend. Give Chrissy a big hug for us, and I know we'll talk throughout the week, but we'll certainly see you next week.
Yep, I'll be here. Got to go to cold Nashville. About to go get my hair cut, get this long beard taken off. It's the first work travel I've done since before Christmas, so just been kind of letting this get out of control, but it's